just because we don't believe that it should be illegal doesn't mean there's not going to be consequences for what you had to say. If your employer decides to fire you, which by the way, we've seen hundreds of people, those are just the people we know of online. Those are public officials, teachers, a lot of places that have, if you've been celebrating the horrific assassination of Charlie Kirk, whether you agreed with him or not, if you have been celebrating it and you lost your job over it, too bad. Okay, that is the truth. There are things that you can and can't say in terms of what you can do in the office, what your employers can tolerate, especially if you work in a state where it's a right-to-work state. If you're going out and making threats specifically or even saying anything that, I mean, if you're a public school teacher, what are you thinking? I mean, I did think that a lot of times. The people who so quickly went to social media and didn't think to, because they're in such an echo chamber, they didn't think that they'd have any pushback. And then, of course, you have one parent who goes, I don't want this person teaching my kids. And then you start, peeling back that onion layer by layer, and all of a sudden you see sort of the horrific nature of a lot of the vitriol and the speech that is coming out of people. And again, should that be illegal? I mean, if it's obviously if it's a direct threat, those kind of things, that's not what we're talking about here. But should it cost you your job? I think that's up to you. Look, we've seen that with some of the news reporters as well. In MSNBC, we saw many people lose their jobs pretty quickly. The person who claims, well, maybe it was a celebratory gunshot that happened.
We don't know if this was a supporter shooting their gun off in celebration, or so we have no idea about this. But following up on what was just said, he's been one of the most divisive, especially divisive younger figures in this, who is constantly sort of pushing this sort of hate speech.
And that was within 5 minutes, I think, of the Charlie Kirk assassination. Within minutes, they're like, we don't know the motive. Maybe it was someone who was just excited. Of course, we all knew that wasn't the case. But for some reason, the guy who was on MSNBC thought, I'm going to be tolerated for this. I'm going to be able to say this and get away with it because it's MSNBC. And you got to at least give it even up to MSNBC for saying, you know what? There is a line even for us.
That's right. Let's go ahead and roll this. This is Matt Gutman on ABC News after the text message conversation came out and how he reacted to it. Bite 8.
An alleged murder with such specific text messages about the alleged murder weapon, where it was hidden, how it was placed, what was on it, but also it was very touching in a way that I think many of us didn't expect. A very intimate portrait into this relationship between the suspect's roommate and the suspect himself, with him repeatedly calling his roommate who is transitioning, calling him my love, and I want to protect you, my love. So it was this duality of someone who the attorney said not only jeopardized the life of Charlie Kirk and the crowd, but was doing it in front of children, which is one of the aggravating circumstances of this case. And on the other hand, he was, speaking so lovingly about his partner. So a very interesting and, as Pierre said, riveting press conference.
It's so disgusting and disturbing. This should usually happen actually when we start creating a celebrity murder culture, which is if you are a murderer specifically for some sort of weird political cause, all of a sudden, you kind of maybe can blame some of the streaming services and some of those for really kind of making this, or the podcast for making murderers these like I said, celebrity figures. It's really disgusting.